the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. McGrath for the win. He got it. If you don't like college football and you watch this one, I'm not sure what your problem is.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into today's episode of More Important Issues. It is Thursday, January 30th. We are not on the radio tonight, but it is still good to be back with you guys. Whether you're listening on Twitter/X, whatever you may call it, Facebook or YouTube, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Speaking of YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. We do have some more content over there. Our latest with our, this is no slight to our other, I in my opinion, we have great episodes with great guests. It's not a knock on Tony either. I would even say better guests. We've had a ton of fun with some reoccurring ones even in the baseball realm. You've got Connor Pavloni, you've got Xander Sechrest, you've got Ross Kivett. But that was a big one, and it was awesome. We appreciate his time, and I think it's a great listen. We look back on 2024, we look a little bit on 2025, and we also just kind of dive into his how he got here type deal. So I think it's a great episode. Maybe some repeat stuff, but I think we got some new information out of him too. So you kind of need to listen, right?
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, breaking news. Also, you kind of mentioned the people we've had on, and it's been a lot of fun. I think it is our biggest guest with the biggest bank account that we've had on so far. I think
that's probably,
especially at the time that we had him on. I think Christian Moore's probably up there, but he was just a freshman when we had him on. So,
right.
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, make sure you guys go check that out. We appreciate you guys, the listeners. You all really afforded us the opportunity to do that. It was great to sit down with him. Hope to do it again throughout this baseball season and in the future, and hope to we've got some more guests coming up on that YouTube page too. So make sure you subscribe. That is where all of that will be released. You can keep up with that content. We've also got, we're going to talk a little basketball today, of course. We'll do it.
We have to.
Yeah, you did the outline.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like how you tried to pawn that off on me.
Yeah. I wish we could just talk about the good. Sure. We could just cherry pick. I guess we can cherry pick what we talk about, but we have to.
Yeah, but we do kind of have to, unfortunately.
Man, you lit the fire by even mentioning the name Rick Barnes on Twitter. Your mentions and your comments were
oh yeah. We'll get into it earlier. We'll get into it later. I just wanted to start kind of with some good. We had it was the 4th anniversary of Josh Heupel being announced as Tennessee's head coach, and it's been a ride. So I thought we could get into that first, maybe reminisce a little bit, and then we'll be miserable for the rest of the show until we get into segments. So
awesome. For sure. Yeah, you kind of laid out the order of operations there in a sad way, but you did it.
Yeah, had to be done.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do our best to, listen, we try to be we don't moan and groan for the sake of moaning and groaning. I do enough of that daily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to do it twice a week here.
Yeah.
So before we get to the necessary moaning and groaning, let's hear some good. Here's some Levi Ogle.
Home run, slam dunks, give him 6. Boys at MII, they got your big orange face. All year long is the place to be, to hear some balls for life, talking Tennessee. Compare to see
Yeet.
We can just do background vocals on that, by the way,
I'm in.
because the mics don't mute.
Oh yeah, that's true. We could do
So
that.
we could just do it there.
Mm.
I don't want to mess up. Yeah.
We'll record it.
And we'll all be out of sync, so it'll be even better.
Yeah, I like that.
There you go.
More Important Issues is brought to you by Hovey Dry Goods. Go to hoveydrygoods.com. Best hats in the game. Joey's got one on, rocking it tonight. They got some new hats coming out. Use promo code MORE for 15% off your first purchase. Again, hoveydrygoods.com. Go check them out.
All right.
Shall we?
Can I just
Hype train.
Can I just address this real quick? I'm not going to address it, I guess, but Dale Senior Soup, why do you guys support a Ponzi scheme? I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't claim to know everything. I'm interested in hearing. So just DM me on Twitter.
Oh,
I'll
he's
follow you right now.
Yeah, he's kind of talking about the post we made about Nate Emmett and NIL.
Yeah, I'm interested in hearing how. Like, I genuinely, I figured that's what it's about. I don't.
Yeah.
If it's a Ponzi scheme, tell me. I don't understand how, but I'm interested in hearing how. If it's as different from other NIL opportunities that it then becomes a Ponzi scheme, you can tell me and let me know. I don't see it as one. I see it as a different avenue of NIL. But I don't claim to know all. So I'm open. Yeah. I'm all ears. This isn't the place to do it in a comment section on a live show. So that's why I said DM me. We can talk.
No,
yeah,
this guy sucks.
Also, no one understands NIL anyway. So to try to dive into anything NIL and try to understand it, good luck.
I won't pretend. Yeah.
All right. Josh Heupel. Not a Ponzi scheme, I don't think. And if it is, we are suckers.
I think in general, like Tennessee athletics is a Ponzi scheme geared towards people like me. And I'm not even looking for money back. I'm looking for happiness back. Like I think Ponzi scheme would imply you expect something in return. I expect happiness at some point. And I've gotten some, I guess. So maybe not a Ponzi scheme. 2024 national championship kind of rocked. I won't lie. Beating Alabama.
I almost got like
last 2 out of 3 years. That kind of rocks.
And I almost said, like, is it kind of like religion? Like,
this is a cult, and I'm in.
Okay.
You tell me when to drink the Kool-Aid, and I will go to the next stage with you.
Yeah, Danny I'm not going to sit on here and say religion's a Ponzi scheme, but if you kind of look at it, from the outside looking in, I could see why somebody might think it could be.
No, I think. Wow, you are getting deep. I think that is an argument from those who oppose religion in general, Landon. Yes, I think you're right.
Okay.
I think you did nail that one down.
Yeah, I don't click on those articles, so I don't know what the others are thinking.
You don't even listen to the naysayers.
No, block them out.
You don't let the naysayers know.
I was about to say, getting close.
All right, 4 years anniversary of Josh Heupel being named Tennessee's head football coach. And we kind of talked about this a little bit on Chase Thomas's podcast. My first reaction was like, who? You kind of knew who he was at UCF, but even like that, like you knew Scott Frost way more than you knew Josh Heupel after he took over for Scott Frost. So didn't really know much about him. Kind of Googled him, obviously. Kind of like what's her name, Signetti? Google me. I had to do that to Josh Heupel to kind of figure out what he was about. And the offense is obviously something that stood out. But still, I was not a big fan of the hire. I thought it was Danny White's boy that he hired at UCF, and I was not on board for it at the time.
Are you actively revoking that statement at this point?
Yeah. These 4 years have been a blast.
So you don't think there's room where like maybe you're partially right, where you're like he was better than I thought, but still not the guy? Like you think he's the guy?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. To come like where we were to where we're at now, I don't. Who else does it better?
Yeah, you weren't going to hire a national championship coach off of Jeremy Pruitt. Like, you got 90% there.
I think in these last 4 years, I 100% agree with you. Like, he was the right hire. I think they're still, and I think this is where I get knocked for being quote unquote negaval. I think I was very neutral about the hire at first. I was in a similar boat of like, who is this? Why have we done this? Is this where Tennessee football's at? But I was also like, Danny White's made some good football hires in his past. Now, he hasn't made a hire as big as the head coach at Tennessee, but he's found some guys. So I'm like, he has the offense that everybody seems to kind of want now. Let's see how this plays out. And I think I was neutral then. And I'm still, I agree that if you look at this last 4 years, which is what we're talking about, I don't think anyone necessarily could have done it better outside of the best of the best. So I agree 100% with that. Going forward, is he the guy? He's got a lot to get better at. I think he's shown the ability to get better in some areas that he's not great in. Still got a lot to get better at, him and his staff. But I mean, I'm also still positive about the direction of the program as a whole.
Yeah, I guess like my question to that would be like, what determines the guy? Because I feel like that's open for interpretation. Like, could the guy be the right hire? Or is the guy that gets you to a national championship?
In this context, when I say the guy, I'm like the guy who has Tennessee as a top perennial program who wins a national championship. Because I think you all are right. Like, you cannot argue, like, Tennessee found how many coaches could have had Tennessee in a better spot than Josh Heupel has had after 2020. And then, all the way up to now, not a lot. Like, there are a few, I'm sure. But they're the best of the best. The ones, like Joey said, you weren't going to hire.
For sure.
So I think that's for sure. Like, you hired the guy. Now is he the guy going forward?
Yeah. And I think that's good. Like, when I say I think he's, I guess, the guy in my interpretation of it, I think that it's been fun. It's been, now I still think there's room to improve. I mean, obviously with, the offensive line, there's question marks going into the season. And I think probably around the country, no matter who your coach is, you probably have question marks going into next year. But yeah, I think you have to be excited about the direction of the program. Obviously, culture is a big thing there. You don't see a lot of guys just up and leave for no reason, unless they're just not playing. So I think there is something to that. Now, yeah, do I wish like we would maybe change up some coaching staff, maybe get some better recruiters? Yeah, for sure. But I mean, right now, like, you've won 37 games in the last 4 seasons. And if you don't lose to a terrible Florida team in 2023, you've won 10 games 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
I guess your qualification is the guy. Would you want him to be the coach for the next 10 to 15 years? I feel like in my mind, that's like, okay, you get to hire like a
long-term,
once in a generational, like, the blue book coaches for basketball, like the Nick Sabans, like these guys for football. I don't think any Alabama fan would be like, yeah, we'll give him like 5 to 10 years. Like, no, you're like, okay, that's our guy, please, until he's dead.
Well, then, like, from my perspective, I wouldn't say 100% I want Josh Heupel for the next 10 or 15 years yet.
Right. That's just my opinion on the quality.
I don't think that's a bad way to judge it. Because, like I said, you want a guy that's going to put Tennessee as this program for the next however many years. I think that's a great way to say, like, is he the guy going forward? I think that's an excellent way. And I'm not saying I don't want him for the next 10 or 15 years, but I don't know if I do yet.
Right.
So I think the question's still in the air.
Sure thing guy.
Yeah.
Great stepping stone. Got you to find the guy, possibly, if he's not the guy. Now, if he goes and, makes it to a, semifinal in the college football playoff next year.
Well, I think this year we've talked about it throughout this show, as this offseason started. Like, this is really going to be the kind of year that tells you about how the staff evaluates high school talent, how they get out of the portal. It's gonna tell you how. I mean, they're gonna have to change some things up. Whether that means moving back to go forward with what seems to be the offense, or at least like some of the situational play calling, or if they just have to kind of like find their new thing that makes them tick, like whatever it is, like there's going to have to be some type of changes this offseason going into 25. So, I mean, I think this is a big year. Is this the tell-all year? I won't go that far, but I think it's a big year to see like what is the direction of Josh Heupel's Tennessee football program.
Yeah, and the offense like that's been his bread and butter, and it just wasn't good enough this year. Like it wasn't good enough. Like if that defense wasn't as good as they were, I mean, you lose to Florida, you probably lose to Kentucky. I think that Mississippi State game's probably a little different.
Probably lose to Oklahoma.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some games in there that you probably lose because of the offense. So I think it is a big year because not only do you obviously personnel wise, like it's you got some changes in there, but also like scheme wise. Like you can't just roll out there with that same offense and expect it to go better. Like there has to be some sort of wrinkles, some sort of counterpunch to teams taking away the deep ball. Right. You got to find out how to, make big plays without just chucking it 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why Josh Heupel makes a lot of money to figure that out.
Sure.
Do you think it's safe to say Heupel's floor is 8-4? We can argue 7-5. I get it. But I just say like recruiting wise.
Yeah, I think I would say that because if you're 8-4, like that's a disappointment.
Right. That means you blew at least one that you shouldn't have lost.
And Josh Heupel, like it sucks probably to say that, but like he's kind of done that to himself.
Yeah, we've mentioned this on the show with basketball, baseball, and football. The expectations change because you change them.
Right.
Like looking back on this season, people were disappointed with the Ohio State game, but everyone was pretty much in a consensus agreement, if not a consensus agreement, that like make it to the college football playoff and everything after that's gravy. Well, that means everyone should have been ecstatic and very happy and content that at the minimum happy and content that Tennessee played in Columbus in December. But people weren't, and people were calling for heads after that game. So yeah, the expectations changed because you changed them. So yeah, it is Heupel's doing it. And I'll say on the 8-4, and I think when I look at the schedule right now, I agree like that would be disappointing and sad. When I say the floor is 8-4, it's like I could see them going 8-4 with, I think Joey said it, some things, a loss maybe you shouldn't have had in there. But also, if you go 8-4 with this team, and I say it's Heupel's floor, let me step back and let me evaluate what happened week to week. Injuries, how teams are playing. If you had a guy you hadn't quite figured out yet, and maybe you rattle off 4 games at the end, you beat a team you shouldn't be like, let me step back and evaluate before I'm like, that's a disappointment. Or I guess that's not, because there's still going to be something disappointing in there when you go 8-4. But I think the season as a whole, let me evaluate before I say like the season as a whole is a disappointment. What do you do? I think I'd have to look at it as a whole. Now I can pretty confidently say 7-5. That's a disappointment.
Yeah,
as a whole.
I don't know. Even with a depleted roster and like just dumpster fire of a season, I still think if you go 7-5, that's you're on the hot seat.
He went 7-5 in year 1. I mean, so I think that's going 7-5 in year 5 makes me want to throw up.
Exactly. Well, that's why when I say 8-4 is the floor, I'm not like throwing everything in the kitchen sink out just based on that alone.
Because
I
this
evaluate and look at it.
Could have been 8-4.
Right. And let me evaluate, see what that looks like before I'm like, big changes need to be made. So I think you can go 8-4, and obviously I think some of that talk's going to be there, but I don't think it's outright deserved unless we fully go game by game, see what happened, see what came up. I mean, like you said, we could have easily gone 8-4 this year. You shouldn't have. I mean, that loss to Arkansas is unacceptable. Not necessarily for the fact that you lost it. It's the way that game played out and you lost it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's unacceptable and disappointing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think too, in 2023, you talk about that loss to Florida. You go 9-3, and that's great and good, but you also look at that Florida loss, unacceptable the way it happened. And so now we're talking about raising the expectations You got it to where we're like, no, you should have gone 10-2.
Yeah.
You look at the Missouri loss. Missouri's probably the better team that night. Unacceptable the way it happened. That obviously they were the better team that night. They're probably the better team. However many times out of 10, more than 5. But they're the better team that night. It was their night. Unacceptable the way it occurred.
Yeah.
You just got beaten every facet of the game. So yeah, 8-4. I'm not saying I would be fired up, ready to burn mattresses about. 7-5. I'll be right there next to you, Joey, burning mattresses.
Yeah. 6-6 fired, 7-5. Everyone wants him fired. I don't know how you could go 6-6. Again, I'm under normal circumstance. If you like Nico gets hurt first play of the game, your receiving course turned out shit, your O-line falls apart, like that is worst case scenario. I still can't envision a 6-6 season.
Can I introduce you to a 4-8 season?
Yeah, no, I know.
Freshman quarterback. No, I'm just laughing about it. With a redshirt freshman quarterback who was such a big recruit, he announced his commitment in Times Square. Can I introduce you to a world where that happens?
We're spoiled now, all right? We don't have to worry about that. We're whatever. We're not peasants anymore.
I mean, that is a good point. I mean, just the way like things have changed. Like we go into the off season, like talking about this stuff. We're talking about even mentioning 10-2 5-6 years ago was crazy.
Yeah. And I do think Tennessee has a fairly favorable schedule. I think if Florida didn't happen in Gainesville mixed with the Gainesville magic that falls upon Tennessee.
Tom Petty.
Sure. I'd probably be even a little bit more pleased with the schedule, but when we look back 2020 vision, looking back on 2024, we're like, that was a really favorable schedule. Your big trip up was Arkansas. You kidding me? Like that's it. And you're looking at that same schedule, home and away is flipped. So now you do bring Georgia home. That doesn't necessarily like scream like, oh, it's a win now. But you take Alabama on the road, that game, which was a 7-point game. Well, that gets flipped on its head again. Like you're like, the actual toss-up, if not way favoring Alabama, Florida on the road. I mean, those are your, like, in my mind, just right off the cuff, like those are your 3 losses. You're 9-3. All right, where do you find a win? Try to go 10-2 because it's there. It's got to be in one of those Alabama or Floridas. That's where you need to be right now. Where are you going to get it? How do you avoid tripping up? You go to Kentucky on the road. Tennessee doesn't lose to Kentucky. Thankfully, you bring Arkansas to home. That maybe gets easier. They're still trying to figure out how they can fire yes, sir. How it didn't happen this season is beyond me. You do open with Syracuse in Atlanta. Like, what does that look like? So, I mean, this is a favorable schedule, but also, I mean, that we talked about this schedule going into last year, and we're like, this is going to be tough, and so that could completely change by August of 2025.
Yeah, you don't know what teams are going to look like. I mean, we were sitting here and say South Carolina is one of the worst teams in the SEC last year, and they ended up being pretty dang good. So, yeah, you don't know kind of what other teams are going to look like. Don't know what that schedule is going to shake out to be. I do kind of want to mention just the fact like Josh Heupel has brought us quarterbacks that are functional. I don't even know how to, because the 3 quarterbacks, and they haven't been perfect. Hendon Hooker was probably the closest thing to it. But other than that, like Joe and Nico, there was complaints about both of those 2. I mean, all 3 of those quarterbacks were better than everybody before them until Tyler Bray in 2012. Would you agree?
Josh Dobbs.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Josh Dobbs. Who would you put Josh Dobbs over?
I'd put Hendon. Well, we only have like really the 2 years we have of Hendon, 2 or a year and 3/4 of a year. I would put the product of Hendon's work slightly over Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I take
Josh Dobbs lost to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I think if I've got to pick a quarterback, it would be difficult for me not to take Josh Dobbs. give me a week to sort it out. Maybe a fall camp to sort it out.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker
I
throws a
forgot
great
about-
deep.
I don't
Hendon
know why I
Hooker throws
forgot
a
about
great
that
deep
ball.
ball. And he's I don't want to say just as elusive. I mean, there's a lot of recency bias in that, but the man can slip out of a sack. I don't know. I think that's a good one. Like, who do you take?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear everybody's. Like, who are you lining up with, Hendon or Josh Dobbs?
But I mean, we would have killed
as I talk about it. I think I'm taking Hendon's deep ball. Like, that's what edges it out for me.
Yeah, I'm taking Hendon all day. I don't think it's that close. I still just think about 2016 and how that season unfolded. Yeah, you lose to Vanderbilt, I'm out.
Yeah, Joey, you're muted. Sorry.
Everything's going crazy. I pressed it once to get me back on the side, and
that's
I
a
tried
good
to
one.
switch it.
Nico
so we
or
get back to
Milton?
normal. Is that a good? Is that
in one season, or you mean like?
I mean, yeah, like Nico last season or Milton the year before.
23.
I mean, which one are you taking?
I mean, if you ask me, like, ideally 2 years from now, that question is laughable. That's the best case scenario. I don't know. Do you win? Does Joe Milton win that game against Bama and Neyland? Not that Nico won it per se, but like I don't like that game could have. You could easily.
I mean, I would say.
I would say he wanted that big ball
Yeah.
to. I mean, of course, you have the one to Brazel for the touchdown, but then that big ball to Dante down the sideline on the run, right?
And that 32-yard gain that he had, that run to set up a
Yeah.
score. Yeah.
I mean, I think that one right now, like you said, Joey, it's probably closer than I want it to be in the next year or two, but I'm probably slightly taking Nico right now.
Yeah. And we would have killed to have Nico, instead of that quarterback who did his commitment in Times Square.
That's enough. Yeah. I think the Hendon Dobbs debate is more fun. I think I'll take Hendon too, but I think it's more fun. I think it's more, you have more results based to go off of. I think there's a lot of similarities of them. I think both of their what did I been calling it? Escapability. Like both of them had that escapability.
Dobbs had a lot worse coach from what we know right now.
Right. So I think it's a fun one.
What about I mean, are you choosing Dobbs over Bray? It just sucks because Bray was on a team. Like, that defense was crap.
Yeah, and I'd love to see Bray with just slightly better defenses.
Yeah.
Bray was so much. I mean, gun slinger.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, love it.
Big Bray fan. Yeah, no, I think that's a fun one. Are we gonna rank? We're ranking wins? Is that what we're doing in the Josh Heupel era?
Before we do that, I do want to mention like where Josh Heupel is at kind of compared to coaches before him. So he has 37 wins so far in his 4 years, 20 SEC wins in 4 years. Butch Jones had 14 in 5 seasons. He has 11 wins against ranked teams, 13 draft picks. The 4 years before, they just had 7 draft picks. Also, I think one kind of impressive thing that I just kind of read about today, he had a Broyles Award finalist as an OC and a DC. I think that's super impressive.
That's something to.
That's adapting a little bit. So that's why my hope for the offense, just adapt. You got to adapt.
Yeah.
Figure out that offensive line, get you some playmakers at receiver, guys take another step. Nico takes a big step, and I don't think it's 2022, but I think it should be better than what it was last year. And I think it kind of has to if you're going to be a contender again like you were this year, because I don't know if that, especially with Jermod McCoy, whatever, we'll see kind of what happens to him. But if you don't have a guy like Jermod McCoy, you don't have James Pierce, I just think it's hard to expect that defense to be as good as it was.
Yeah. I actually pulled this stat up earlier this year. I had to update it. You're talking about where Tennessee was at and Josh Heupel's at, or so the Vols versus top 25 from 09 to 20. What do you think that win-loss record was?
09 to 20?
Yeah.
Top 25 or top 15?
Top 25.
Oh, I mean, you might have won 3 games.
I was going to say
more than that.
I was going to say 8 and 32.
You're close. 9 and 48. 9 wins, 48 losses from 09 to 20. Vols versus top 25 between 21 and 24.
Oh, is this from when was this? 20.
That was from 09 to 20 was 9 and 48.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I got
you won 9, lost 48. What do you think the record, Josh Heupel's record versus top 25 opponents has been?
I don't know. He is 11. He is 11.
I was looking to say 11.
He has 11 wins.
5.
I'm going to say 11 and 7.
He still has had 10 losses. He's 11 and 10.
Still.
One of those is in the college ball playoff.
Yeah.
Doesn't count.
That's a stat that can certainly be cherry picked a little bit because we obviously played Oklahoma. They were number 15 at the time. They were not a top 25 team when we played them. I don't know. They didn't finish the year at it. What were they? 6? Did they finish at 6-6 or they finish at 7-5?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I know NC State was ranked too.
Yeah. NC State was ranked. You did beat Alabama at number 7. So, I mean, sure, can you go in and cherry pick a little bit? But yeah, but you're talking about in the 11 years prior, you went 9 and 48. And a lot of those are the same teams. Like a lot of them are the same teams. So
yeah, we probably played some undeservingly top 25 teams from 2009 to 2020 as well. Like,
oh yeah, well, Kentucky was a couple of them.
Yeah. So it I don't know. It's not the end all be all for me to say, oh, look at this, but I think it is it's a stat that really shows you where Tennessee has been and where they're at now.
Yeah. And maybe we shouldn't forget that after each loss. I know Arkansas was a little different. It wasn't like a fire everybody, but
Arkansas, I took the blame. You can't say anything about I took the blame. I shouldered the blame. I said, it's on me, team. I'm going to get better. I ain't going to show up anymore.
Yeah.
I'm the problem. It's me. Taylor Swift.
It was very much of I'm done with everything, not just like let's fire everybody.
Yeah, it wasn't a leave Knoxville. It was a return to Knoxville and never leave.
Well, it was more like leave the earth kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. Oklahoma did finish 6-6 and then lost to Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl, which, to be fair, they kind of got to lose to a service academy. You can't beat a service academy in the Armed Forces Bowl. Yeah, I don't think that should go against Venables' record, personally.
Yeah, he respect the troops.
Sure.
Yeah.
Was it the Liberty Bowl that Tennessee backed out of in 2020 against Army?
We respect the troops.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people were saying we're P words for that.
No, they were saying that because we backed out of the Army game that we had scheduled, that Josh Heupel had scheduled.
Oh, that's right.
Why bought out of it.
Right. Yeah,
but the funny thing is people were saying that, but they forgot to mention Jeremy Pruitt was just like COVID.
As he wore his mask over the top of his head.
He also got fined one time for not following COVID protocols. Don't forget.
Yeah, I can't believe we were all in on him.
He's a football guy.
He's
Can't be
such a
shocked.
moron.
All right, let's talk Josh Heupel. Let's not
do it.
go too far back. I don't want to dampen the mood. I'm not here to dampen moods.
until a couple minutes.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just. All right, top 5 wins. Is that what we're doing? How are we doing this, Joe? You said rank them. So are we coming into agreement on top 5? Are we snake drafting again? Are we? How are we
I don't
doing?
think we snake draft. I think we just like all right, our number 5s. Bang, bang, bang. Number 4. I mean,
okay.
1-1's gonna be kind of obvious, but let's start at 5 and then we'll.
Okay.
2 to 4 is the meat where we're gonna be.
All right. Well, then I've got to really sit down and rank these. So,
Okay. I can start if you want.
Yeah, go if you got it ready.
I'm good too. So
okay. So number 5, y'all can toss out honorable mentions at any point. Obviously, there's a lot of games that have been big. I really wanted to. I mean, if someone has it, I don't want to take it, but I really wanted to put that Pitt win at Pitt in there.
Okay.
It's like defending ACC title champions, gritty overtime win on the road. It's also when I shattered my pinky, but ignore that. It was a good testing win. Anyway, number 5, 22 Kentucky blowout. And I put that because that was the game that catapulted us to our first number 1 ever, right? Or
yeah,
number
1 in the college football playoff. Yeah,
college football playoff, correct. So like
the most fraudulent ranking of all time. I do want to note that was made. Kirby Smart made the call, and they said yes.
I'm mad that it happened, but I'm just saying, if you're thinking back, 20 years from now, it's like Tennessee was number 1 at one point, and that was Heupel's doing because we just blew Kentucky's backs out at home. So that's my 5.
Shout out Will Levis.
Yes, also tried to prove to the NFL that Will Levis is not worth drafting, and the Titans went and did that anyway. So
yeah, we tried to we
did our damnedest. So
yeah. My number 5 would be the Orange Bowl in 2020. I guess that was 2023 at that point, but still the 2022 season. I just think that kind of catapulted you into next year. You lose Hendon Hooker, you kind of like end the season on a bad note. You should have been in the college football playoff. You blow it against South Carolina. You do come back and beat Vanderbilt, but it just left a little sour taste in your mouth. But you're able to get the Orange Bowl with Joe Milton. Squirrel White had a big game. Aaron Beasley had a big game. I'm going to go with the Orange Bowl and beating Clemson and Dabo Swinney was fun.
Yeah, that one's on my list. Obviously, I've got number 5 at 15 Oklahoma this past season. I think that's a big win. I didn't know exactly how to situate it, but I think that came at a time where everyone was like, "Can you win on the road? This is at night. It's a lot of emotions." Him coming back to Oklahoma. I think there was a game where they was it everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. They got punched in the mouth, 2 strip sacks, and they were able to adjust, let your defense hold on for you, and come out with a win. I thought it was a big win for not just the 2014, but Josh Heupel as a coach.
Yeah, and that's when we really found out, like, dang, we got a pretty good defense. I mean, we thought against NC State, but then it really came about in that Oklahoma game.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing Josh Heupel do a little dancey dance in the locker room is pretty sick.
All right. My 4, 22 Florida. You snap that losing streak. It's kind of that hump of like this Florida Gators team. Like Heupel's like, okay, I can do it. I can beat this team. Obviously, we won't talk about what happened the following year, but 2022 was pretty cool when it happened. Can't deny that.
Yeah. That's all. Go ahead.
That was
I was saying it felt monumental because like coaches had come in and done stuff that feels achieving, but there's a couple things as a Tennessee fan that's just like you got to make Bama rivalry again. You got to get past Florida. We're still trying to get past Florida in the swamp, but you got to just stop letting Florida kind of own you in the last 15, 20 years. And that was kind of one of those ones where I feel like people were like, okay, we're slowly chipping away at that list. We might have something here.
That was also the it doesn't get any better than this comment. So yeah, I'm on board with it.
Wait for this.
This is college football at its absolute best. That's what it is. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's the intro of the show. Yeah.
Is that really where it came from?
Mm-hmm. That was after the Florida game.
He also that was his press
Checker
conference
Nealon, right?
at the end of the game. He was like, "How fun is this, man?"
Yeah, that's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, I love it.
I didn't know that intro was from. I thought that was the Bama game all this time. If you're watching, you're talking about Gary Danielson.
Oh yeah, sorry. What does Josh Heupel say though? He says it's at the beginning of our intro. Yeah, this is college football at its absolute best. Gary Danielson.
You're right. You're right. Josh.
He says.
You're right.
If you don't like college football,
if you're not a college football fan, you watch this game. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah,
that's what I thought you meant. I was like, I thought that was the Bama game this whole time.
Sorry.
My number 4 is also Florida in 22, and I do kind of want to point out a little bit for this coming year is you get to you have a chance to break 3 streaks: Florida on the road, Alabama on the road, or Georgia. Period. So I mean that could make or break. If you really want to go 10-2, you have to beat one of those teams in a place that you haven't done it in a very long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Florida was fun. That I didn't think it would get any better than that, and then a couple weeks later, we did.
Yeah, that 2022 was that one was right. And I actually, by the way, that's why I said I had to rework it. A lot of honorable mentions. I still had Clemson's bowl win on there as my honorable mention. I did bump it for this 24 Bama win this past season. I think it was huge. I think it came on this one or the Florida 24 win. Those both felt more moving to me than the 2022 ones because it just felt like it was time in 2022. It was about dang time. This one was about, can you do it again? Obviously you couldn't on the road the previous year, but you got them back at home. What is that home field advantage advantageous? And it felt like you kind of earned, you proved that with that win over Bama. Again, kind of felt like it's time to start getting a few more on these guys and just one every so often. But I think it was a moving win more than just all right, about time win.
Yeah. You couldn't chalk that 2022 as just a fluke if you go do it 2 years later. Yeah.
Caleb, what did you put there?
That was this year 24 over Bama, number 7 Bama.
Got you. 24 Bama. Trying to stay ahead of this thing before we.
While you're writing that down, I'll go ahead and go with my third. This is more of a personal favorite. I moved it a little high at number 3. It's that win over number 25 LSU in Death Valley in 22. I do think it was really, really important for Josh Heupel, and that was probably another one where people were waiting for Tennessee to trip up in 22, and it is a noon game, and there were mixed feelings about it. Some people were like, all right, this does favor the road team, especially in Death Valley, but you obviously had LSU fans it doesn't matter. It's Death Valley. Death Valley is Death Valley is Death Valley is Death Valley. And they just shut them up from the get-go. And I mean, it was like that LSU football team was on a scissor lift in a rainstorm. They just didn't know what to do.
True. Sorry, I keep having to go back and forth between my notes and the other notes.
Mine was also LSU. My number 3 is also LSU.
My number 3 is also LSU. So that guess.
Nice. I thought it was a little high. Okay.
No.
I mean, okay. I think also when you look back at that was a really good. That LSU had a lot of talent. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Keyshawn Butte, those are all dudes.
And they won the SEC West, didn't they?
BJ Ojolari was on that team. Yeah,
they did that year. Yeah, I mean it was kind of a cluster of but still they did win it. They beat Alabama a few weeks later. Yeah,
and from the opening kickoff, Tennessee, Will Brooks got that.
Yeah.
I guess you'd call it an onside kick, but you just kind of
unintentional onside kick. Yeah.
Was that D. Williams breakout?
Yeah, it was.
That was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it again, that's one of those where you can say it favors the road team. I don't see that at all. Maybe it dampens the home team's effect for sure, but I don't know a scenario in which the time of day. I mean, yes, it favors the home team more in that scenario, but it doesn't.
I think you're right that it doesn't. You don't get the advantage, but it moves. Yeah.
Sure.
And I think that's probably what people meant. But yeah. You're right in the way you say it.
So yes. I think it was just no one really even if you went down there and battled it out, still impressive. You went down there and just that was, I feel like, another moment where everyone went, whoa.
Yeah. I think that
wallop you. Let's go back to like old football terms. You walloped them. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Yeah,
that was belt to ass.
I was about to say the original belt to ass. That might have been the origins of this team's belt to ass.
Yeah.
Number 2. Anyone else can have it.
Yeah, I guess I can circle back. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna need to go through it. You guys all have your list, so I'll just text you after.
Okay.
I got Alabama 2024 for mine.
Okay.
For my number 2. I think like these first 3, I mean, number 1 is going to be everybody's number 1, but I think number 2 and number 3 for me are kind of selfish wise of why they're up there. Maybe LSU is obviously a great time because we were there. And then Alabama 2024, got to go on the field with my dad. I know a lot of people were like, this is embarrassing. Why are we doing that? But did get to take him down there because he didn't get to go in 2022. And it was just a really cool memory to have. And I just, anytime you beat Alabama's going to be up there for me. So, we grew up hating, taught to hate those people. And anytime we can beat them, it's a good day. Yeah. In any sport, but football especially.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I was not selfish in my rankings. I was really trying actively to think about his biggest wins in terms of like statement wins, versus I could have done a whole nother list for at least, what I thought were my favorite wins at least.
And I did that. There was, I think, some personal, like the LSU one for me was a little like getting to be there, see it like that. So I think some personal moved it, but for the most part,
it's not us.
Biggest. That is one exception to the rule. Yes, I've seen us win at Kentucky, expected, and I've seen us win at LSU.
Yeah,
I've been present for a win at South Carolina, not in the building when we actually won. So that was fun. My number 2, I think Joey already had this one. I can't remember if you did, Landon. Mine's number 17. At Pitt in 22. I think that season is wildly different if Tennessee doesn't get that win. And I don't know exactly how wildly, but I think it's very different. Even if that's the only other loss, I think you feel very different about that year. Probably more similar to 24. I think that's another game where Josh Heupel and staff had to kind of get hit in the mouth and just say, all right, we're going. And I like this. And I kind of wish at times they had just gone to this in 24. It's like, all right, we can't do anything else. We're just going to get the ball to our best player no matter what it takes. Like they were like, we're just going to throw it to Cedric Tillman. I don't care if he runs a route at all, if he's open or not, we're going to get the ball to him.
I think Tennessee did do that this year. It was just Dylan Sampson was by far your best player. Your receivers were weak enough that you just didn't have.
But also maybe don't just run, inside zone with them then.
Well, that's all Alabama tried to do with Ryan Williams too. And
right.
Ohio State, it's I don't know why they can't figure it out against Michigan, but throw it to Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah. Good well, I don't think it's you can't obviously do it every play, but like when times get tough, like that's where you need to go to. And that they did that in that game with Cedric Tillman, and kind of just like a Hendon Hooker would not, and Cedric Tillman and the rest would not be denied that day. And they got it figured out, and I think that was the catapult to 2022. Being so early on, it could have been that Florida, could have been the LSU. But looking back, I'm like, no, things really seem to kind of fit into place after Pitt.
Yeah, 100%.
Fair enough.
I mean, 2021 is probably a lot different too if you beat Pitt.
I think so, especially like that's probably where we're going. That's Hendon Hooker's coming out party. Yeah, if they win that game.
Yeah.
Landon, what's your 2? You didn't say it, right?
Yeah, my 2 is Alabama 20.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We started with you. All right. I mean, Caleb, you're talking about opening the season in 22. Earlier in the season with Pitt. Maybe this is selfish. I don't know. I'm just thinking like statistically, I got to go Orange Bowl at number 2. Like the first 11 win season since 2001. Like After what happened with Hendon Hooker, after like just the South Carolina, like everything about that was next man up. Like, can this team now go beat a really good ACC team? What was it, 31-15 or something?
31-14, or did they
Something
get
like that? Like
go
it
for
was
two?
almost double what they did or something like that. I don't know. That win just kind of stood out. I was like, oh shit, again, means business. That's what kind of all my picks are, just very monumental for Josh. Not
It was
necessarily-
also big because you're like, okay, it's not just Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we can win games without a Superman Hendon Hooker.
I think that game made us get way too high on Joe Milton in 23, which says
And
a lot.
Jalen Hyatt. We didn't have Jalen Hyatt either for that game.
Yeah.
We knew we didn't have Cedric Tillman for the back half, but we were hoping to get him back, and we didn't, obviously, for that game either. Jalen Wright played in that game. Sorry.
Yeah.
Was one of them out, Jabari or Jalen, for that game? Why did I think we got a pretty healthy dose of?
I think Jabari was hurt and Jalen Wright was in.
Okay. I thought we were missing a running back too.
Because then Jalen Wright was out, and then
Yeah, I mean, like, we didn't see a whole lot of Dylan Sampson after that LSU game when he got Hendon Hooker absolutely obliterated.
He did, but he also did he pick up the first down after that?
He
just got a big gain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just got a big gain. Okay. No, I mean that's a good number too.
yeah, and then everyone's clearly got the same number one. The greatest football game of all time. Don't even check me, cross me. I don't care. Yeah. You go find me. I know I'm biased. I know I am. I truthfully, unbiasedly think that I don't think you could go find me a highlight clip. I don't care about, like 2019 LSU's roster. No, I don't care about that. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm talking about Team X versus Team Y. Don't care who it was. Just nose to the grindstone, all-time classic. Best game ever.
Hard to disagree.
Yeah, I know you.
Well,
you-
and
I'm sure Dale Senior Soup would disagree, but sure he paid to win that game or something. But
and a lot of Alabama fans will forget that they did get spotted 7 in that one. That's what's crazy about that when you look at like so many momentum swings. You really had what was a Blitnikoff winning performance, what should have been the highlight tape for Bryce Young's would that have been his second Heisman?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, he was the best college football player that year. Should have been his Heisman game. Like that one's on repeat. Like that. I think we were talking about that the other night, Landon. Like they might not have had Bryce Young in that game. That game's a blowout without him.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I don't think anyone could argue that.
Yeah, bum ankle. Bull crap.
Yeah, no.
I want his bum ankle.
I want to see the shot record for what he took during that game.
Oh,
the
yeah.
actual what do they take? Toradol.
Whatever,
I want to see how much Toradol went in that game.
Booby Miles got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want one of those too.
They went all out to beat Tennessee, and it's ruined Carolina. So they just got you. They tried to get you twice, Landon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've got 24 in 22 in Alabama. Tennessee was, I think, by the time the game kicked off, 9.5-point dogs at home.
Yeah. We saw people just like grabbing large amounts of
so much
sod
turf.
Oh,
Yeah.
Insane.
Some of my honorable mentions, I got 22 Florida, of course. 22 Clemson was a big one. 23 Iowa, I still think was a big win. Nico's first game as a starter. And then I also have A&M in 23 was another game where Tennessee didn't play its best. Some good adjustments. You relied on your defense heavily. You also had D. Williams special teams touchdown. That was massive in that game. I think that was a big game for Tennessee to come out on the right. Like, again, a lot can change if they don't get that win. That was I think as we joke around how bad A&M is all the time, there's not a year that A&M is just atrocious. Like, there's not a year that you couldn't lose to A&M.
Yeah.
And I don't think that can be overlooked when you're like, that's a good win.
Kind of forgot about that game. I think another one that you could probably mention is 2023 South Carolina after what Spencer Rattler did to you the year before, and you have the Kamal Hadden pick six. That was a big swing in that game. I think that would be an honorment. Probably Kentucky 2022 as well. That was another. We were talking about
Joey's
belt to
5,
ass.
and I think that's in my honorable mention.
Yeah.
What was
that was a belt to ass.
Belt to ass, baby.
I mean, I think Kentucky in 21 could be mentioned too. That was a rock fight that you needed to go. You can't lose that one for Josh Heupel in year one, no matter what that team looks like, even if they're really good. I think that was Ray Davis, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait, which one?
21.
21 would have no, that wasn't Ray Davis.
Was
Ray
he
Davis
22?
was last year.
God, was he really?
Yeah, I think he was 2023.
Oh no, I'm old. I thought they had a really good running back that year, though. Maybe they didn't. It was still Will Levis. I know that.
I don't know.
Trying to roll through it. Why is it nowhere to be found?
Because Ray Davis was at Vanderbilt first, and then he transferred to Kentucky.
He beat him at some point, so that's good. I also had USC in 21. I think that was a game that felt like it was going to, on the front end, be very losable, and Tennessee just dominated. That was also the Shane Beamer fake play that made zero sense.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Rodriguez. If it was Rodriguez, that's right. That makes sense why I was confusing him with Ray Davis, at least.
Yeah.
If you want to get to that question right there in the comments, I think that's actually good by Jordan.
Yeah, so Jordan Cup asked, would y'all rather beat South Carolina in 2022 to potentially get in the 4-team playoff, or beat Arkansas this past season for a chance to host a playoff game in the 12-team playoff?
Great question, but no brainer. 14 playoff. Like,
hold on. I think that's only a no brainer if we also get to keep Hendon Hooker. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, if you lose Hendon Hooker and
if you lose Hendon
Hooker,
still,
yeah,
that doesn't really number one. The precedent hadn't been set yet, but they could have left us out of it. Apparently,
that's true. Okay, that's true. I'm saying with the fact that they somehow don't do that to the 11-1 Tennessee Vols, and you are guaranteed that playoff spot, even without Hendon Hooker. Though I understand hosting in a 12-game playoff, but if I'm telling you right now, you can have Tennessee hosting in a 12-game playoff, or Tennessee wherever in a 4-game playoff. One is 2 wins away from being national champions. One's 4? I don't like math, but I'm taking our chances there with between Jalen Hyatt. Like that season, even with Hendon hurt, that could have still been the most insane national championship run for a team that was not expected to do it. It's just my opinion. Obviously, I would have loved to host a playoff game. Now, if you're going to say we don't win no matter what, give me a Neyland playoff game. But
does it kind of depend on so say you make it to the playoff with Hendon Hooker, you probably play number 1, so it's probably Georgia the first round and lose, or you host a playoff game in the 12-team and win that. No matter what you do going forward, are you taking a win in the college football playoff or a loss in the semifinals?
I'm taking a loss in the semifinal. Again, just the national championship is the goal. Moment-wise, again, give me Neyland all day.
Yeah, that's
if you're trying to tell me I have to you want me to actively turn down an automatic semifinal appearance, whereas we would have had to beat Ohio State, beat Oregon, beat.
Well, we know though also it's probably not Ohio State because they probably want Ohio State to host.
Oh well, yeah, that's true. We would have been different ranking, but even then, I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, we're a lot higher at that point. I mean,
that's true.
We're ahead of Penn State probably.
Well, you also would have been. Now we're talking.
You're ahead of Ohio State, so you're probably getting an SMU or a Indiana or a Clemson. That's probably one of the teams you're.
Georgia had 2 losses.
Does it change your mind if I tell you Tennessee is 4-1? 4-1? Is that right? 4-1 against top 25 teams since 2022 at home. That one loss being to Georgia.
I think
Does that change your math? You're mathing it out. Does that change your math at all?
I still agree. I'm just again, if you're just holding two
I
pieces,
do think South Carolina's the worst loss.
Oh,
Yes.
for sure. Part of me died that
in the
day.
building for both. Would like to.
Yeah.
You have to stop driving.
Thank you. Don't land in that.
Yeah, we should shout out Jordan Cup. We should put that on the page. I would like to see some good civil disagreement on that.
Yeah.
AKA people
Not civil.
actually,
Yeah.
No, not civil at all.
I think that stat's right. 4-1, I think, is correct since 2022.
Okay.
I think it's top 25 teams.
Yeah, I think it is a good debate. I'll ask that question tomorrow. See who answers that.
Yeah, I think Landon's tried to decide to go to a game next year. I've been under noted protest. I'm not going to a game. If I go to a game, we're gonna go to Mississippi State and lose in Starkville, and I'll be there for that. And I'll just keep it going, keep it alive.
Go to Florida. I'd love to get over Florida, but if we just take the game that we're most likely to lose on the road,
I don't know if I can go back to Florida.
Yeah, I can't go back. Not allowed.
You want to go to Bama?
No, not allowed.
Yeah, I don't want to go to. I think it's
a trap.
Yeah. Do you just go to?
You go to
Atlanta for Syracuse. That's not a true road game.
We did okay this year.
Yeah.
I think we lost the Belk Bowl. Or the Belk kickoff. I was gonna say I'm pretty good in neutral site.
This is a new tenure. We're good.
Okay. Then I think I'm good in neutral site games. I wasn't at the 21 Purdue game, so we're good. Yeah, maybe we roll into Atlanta.
Okay. Let's do it.
Oh, we did say we'd go to Kentucky this year. Well, we said that a few years ago. We're supposed to be going to Kentucky this year. But that trip's paid for. So it's free, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
Austin White, you told us, if you don't remember, it's that baby brain. You owe us. You said you'd pay for the Airbnb.
Yeah, that guy's rolling in it, so he's good.
He did say that, I think. Yes, he said that. I'm not even going to think on
it. He said it.
He said
he said it, right?
He at least said he'd book it. At the bare minimum, he said he'd book it. All right. Anything else for this Josh Heupel that you want to throw in there, that you want to leave?
Let's avoid the bad loss this year, please. Please.
Let's just do that. I don't mean to bring it down at all, but what would you consider not? I think there's bad losses in there, but I also think there's unexplainable, should never happen losses. For example, at Vanderbilt, I do not care if they have Diego Pavia playing quarterback. Where where's the bad loss for you? Where are you I could see this team trip up because of schedule timing, because of whatever, or is it out the door this year? Do you think they should be fine on the road? Their road games are Vanderbilt, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi State are their road games.
I mean, if you lose to Kentucky or Mississippi State, I think it's a problem.
Wait, we play Kentucky away? Vanderbilt away?
Oh, that game is at home. Sorry. Scratch that. Four road games.
There we go. So we're going 8-4 at a minimum.
I don't think you should lose. I think none of those are games that would. I don't think you should lose any of those games. Any of those road games. Or sorry. You know the ones I'm talking about. The Mississippi State.
Okay. I was about to say, you probably should.
Mississippi State, Kentucky. Sorry. I know I named all of them. As we're sitting here talking about the bad loss, I am thinking of Mississippi State and Kentucky. I apologize.
Yeah.
I did not say that aloud. I don't think you should lose.
I think
those games.
I think there's 3 really big games in there that I think Oklahoma is going to be a big game. I think at home, I think Syracuse is a big game. And I think Florida is a big. Like those 3 games could like make or break your season.
I did want to comment on the Florida one because I think, and it's late in the year, so like it's one of those like you never kind of know what Florida will have, what you'll have in terms of just how you'll look and injury. Florida is very, very winnable though. Now factor in the Gainesville aspect of it, and it's almost not winnable for Tennessee. But I think when you're looking ahead at the schedule and you go, where can we get breathing room? That's one that I think you've got to circle and say that's a must win for breathing room. That's one that's very winnable.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully by that point, you don't need the breathing room. You really don't want it by that point. But if that's one that I think you obviously don't want to look ahead if you're a coach or a player, but that one should certainly be circled.
Yeah.
It should be circled every year. It's Florida. You get it. If you've played sports, you know what it's like you have one circled every year, but then one time you're like, okay, this year is a winnable game.
And I think this Florida team is probably going to be better than it was in 2023. But I mean, at some point, you got to beat them there.
And realistically, Tennessee, what they've done the past 3 years versus what Florida's done, you should be in a better spot. Like kind of getting into like how are you progressing? Are you going to be the guy? Yeah.
Well, it's like, I mean, everybody's like looking at Lagway and Lenora Sellers to be, Heisman candidates. I mean, Nico's got to be right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the number 1 player in the country for a reason. Like he needs, like this is a huge money year for Nico.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, if he doesn't progress, then it's really going to start being some serious conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's shift forward to another serious conversation.
Yeah, let's get more depressed.
Basketball at home on Tuesday, just terrible. Kind of only way to say that. Losing Kentucky 85-81. Tennessee gave up 52 points in the second half to lose to the Wildcats. And I think this game, you feel a lot different if you don't shoot the ball the way that you shot the ball.
But you did. And we have for the last
because like last year you lost at home to Kentucky, but now like you've blew Florida, you look terrible. You look terrible against Vanderbilt. You look terrible against Auburn. And now you look bad against Kentucky. Like there is a problem with this basketball team, and I don't really know where to go to fix it.
You have to just shoot better. I mean, there's not like, and you say there, I don't disagree. Like there are some glaring holes in this team, like a shooting night like that. You have to find a way that when you're shooting like that, there's 2 things to fix it in the game. You either say we're going to shoot out of the slump, which Tennessee tried, and they almost did. I mean, Chaz Lanier finally hit late in the game. You felt like, all right, this is the turning point. Or you say we're going to do everything in our power. We're going to go and try to score at the rim. And you didn't really try and do that. And I think you kind of bailed Kentucky out of – they're a good basketball team. I think they do a lot of things well. I think you made them not have to play as physical towards the end of the game. They didn't score from the field the last like 2 – oh, don't tell me it's this long. The last like 5 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't make them play physical. And I'm okay with saying we're going to try to shoot our way out of this. We've got shooters. But also in that 5 minutes, you never really try to take someone on and make them make a play.
You're in the bonus.
Yeah. Our inability to drive into the paint and at least initiate contact was I almost got out there and started trying to do it. Like, and like, this is nothing on Zakai because there's only so much he can do at his size, and he still is able to. He's not going to put that shot up because, I mean, you see how often he gets right under the net on the baseline, either swings it out or carries it out, resets. but it's like we use every second of the shot clock. Great ball movement. Awesome. I have seen plentiful of ball movement from this team, but we're just swinging it around, looking for a good 3 look. And even the good ones that you get that are, how many decent looks did we miss in that game? Not to mention,
that's what you battle is they had a lot of good looks from 3. They just couldn't hit them. And that's 2 nights in a row. They just couldn't hit them. So it's one of those things that we're now irritated with the Rick Barnes team for shooting too much from three, whereas 3 years ago we were saying they don't ever shoot from 3. And now you have to find that balance. And I think that balance has to come on a night when you're shooting horrendously and you're late in the game and those shots aren't going to fall and you need points per possession. And you've got guys who can drive. Devin just mentioned Meshack. I mean, he is good when he puts the ball on the floor and his head down, shoulder down, and goes.
Which I don't think he's done in like 4
I don't think he's
at least.
I think he had one against Kentucky where he took it off the dribble and drove from the corner to the hole and laid it up. I think he had one that I can think of off the top of my head later in the game. But you have to be able to do that when you're shooting 24% from 3. I mean, 24% ain't bad if you should take 12. You took 45 shots.
Yeah.
Took 45 shots from 3. You outshot them 21 times from 3. And you made 1 less than them. That's a shooting performance. And I mean, it's all going to eventually kick back to the coaching staff. We can go round and round, and it's eventually going to get back there. The team also has to say, we're going to be better from 3, or we're going to go and make plays ourselves at some point. Like there is a balance of issue there with coach and player, and they've just got to make the difficult shots, whether that be from 3 or going to the hole.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you just can't get one to go down, and I'm not talking like that, but, I mean, basketball 101 says if you're struggling to shoot the ball, what do? Make it a little easier on yourself.
Yeah.
Go to the rim. And we just don't have anybody like Zakai can dribble in. Jordan Gainey's been one that could get to the hole. He didn't take 1 free throw the other night.
Yeah.
Well, I think it kind of like speaks to what you were saying on Twitter, and obviously everyone's going to be quick to be up in arms about it. You can criticize a coach without calling for his job. No one's sitting here saying Rick Barnes needs to be gone. His time's done.
No one on this show. Let's be clear about that.
But I think that you have to, like, at some point when you shoot that many threes, there has to be someone that, like, takes the front and is like, they're just not falling. Like, you're not a great 3-point shooting team this season. And Chaz obviously got hot. Igor, props to him for even adding 4 threes into that terrible 11 for 45 or whatever.
Yeah.
But like at some point somebody has to be like, refs are kind of blowing the whistle on some stuff down low. We've got enough size to compete down low. Try. That doesn't work. Then you go, okay, better team. Fine. But it's like and again, Rick Barnes is a coach for a reason. He's got endless better basketball knowledge than I do. But it's like you want to bang your head against a brick wall when you're like, oh, I bet you they're about to take another 3. Yank it. Not even close. Nope. Doesn't fall. You see a drive, gets a whistle. Zakai's and 1. I was like, whoa, look at that. I mean, contact was still on the ground well before, but it's just one of those, it's just frustrating. And you at some point want to see like an explanation for it.
Yeah, like I'm going insane. Like, why does it keep happening? Like, why is there so many bad, like, we can't throw it in the ocean? Why is there rock fights against Auburn where it's like 45 to 41? Like,
well, the rock fight occurs because Tennessee wants to drag you in the mud and get into that.
I don't know.
It is frustrating. Even more frustrating that Tennessee outplays them in every statistical category except for shooting. And it wasn't for lack of second chance points. Felix Parra brought down 5 offensive rebounds himself. Team brought down 18. I mean, you had second chance points. But unfortunately, it's hard to get third and fourth chance points. And that's what you were going to have to do to stay in that game. And that's difficult.
Yeah. You only had 5 turnovers.
Yeah. I mean, you played pretty good.
And that just
except
tells
for the
me
one really, really important aspect of putting
Scoring.
the ball in the hoop. And that's why when you say there's something wrong with this team, the only thing I want to push back on is like, you just got to knock down shots. I mean, you look at the free throw line, like they shot okay from the free throw line when they got there, didn't get there much. They out rebound Kentucky. I think they got out rebounded by Arkansas by like 2. And again, I go into
Auburn.
freaking Broom. What'd I say?
You said Arkansas.
Auburn. You get out rebounded by Broom, who's putting on an Angel Reese clinic out there at times. So I mean, you're battling with teams. You just got to put the ball in the hoop at some point. And yeah, I mean, I think hopefully this week going into Florida, a team that you struggled shooting against last time, your last outing with them, is a good chance to really look yourself in the mirror and say, we got to shoot, but we also have to understand that when we're not shooting well, we've got to put our head down and go. And I think that is on the coaches. You can't walk into a huddle as a coach and say, red light, red light, red light. You cannot turn that off. You cannot turn away good chances. That kills confidence, but you got to give them opportunities to get better, higher percentage looks going to the basket right now. And when the three's open, they'll have to shoot. They have to shoot it. And maybe they start to fall, but you got to put them in better opportunities to get to the hole. I mean, it's just got to be better. And that's where I think the coaching has to improve. You can't red light Zakai Ziegler. You can't red light Ches Lanier. They've got to be guns a-blazing from 3-point range when they're open. They have to be.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to point on Zakai for a second. Like, he is great. He's phenomenal. What he does, he's always been a below average 3-point shooter. His entire career, he's been one. You don't need to shoot 11 threes.
Yeah. He's 5 of 7 from the field.
Yeah. Does not need to shoot 11 threes. Like, that's.
And I would want to go in. I would want to go in and look at those 11 threes and be like, which ones do we take back? And I know with Zakai, there's usually a few. Some of those are late in the shot clock. So, but yes, I mean, you don't want him shooting 11 threes. Obviously, I'd have to look at every single one before I start saying no to these. Yeah. But
because when
the sentiment I agree with.
I look at the 5 turnovers. I'm like, well, you weren't giving the ball up to the opposing team. Good. But when you shoot 11 for 45 and you have 5 turnovers, that means you weren't aggressive enough.
Right.
And that's kind of where I point to this game. Tennessee just wasn't aggressive enough. Was that because maybe was Zakai hurt in the second half? More hurt than we thought he was? I don't know. But Tennessee played their best ball when he was off the court. And I'm not blaming him for that. I'm just pointing out
for parts of it. I mean, there were times, I don't remember what the lineup was, and I think Zakai was back at this point. But I know we were missing Zakai. I know we were missing Gainey maybe. I mean, there was one point where I was like, what is this lineup?
Yeah, I think it was Gainey, Meshack, Boswell.
Oh, was Gainey in the game?
Okay. Cade Phillips and Dubar maybe. It was.
And I'm like, and Dubar, I mean, he played 17 minutes. He didn't play bad basketball for 17 minutes. He made some mistakes you don't want a guy like that to make, but he didn't play bad basketball for 17 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
he gave you something to build on for sure.
I just get worried going into March because it's like, if this team consistently shot 38% from the 3, I'd be like, we actually probably will make a decent run.
38%, we win the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I would think that we're going to absolutely, if we make 1 for every 3 that we shoot, we're making 17 threes a game at this point. Yeah. But it's like the thing that scares me, I guess, is just like there doesn't seem to be a lot of adaptation, and Lord knows we're going to face some sort of Cinderella in March, and you go shoot 40-something threes in March. Like, the answer is not just they'll knock down at some point. Like, you can't just depend on clutch to take you all the way through March. I know it works for some teams, but like you gotta these swings where like Tennessee has a chance for like somehow the momentum to turn, and like you get right there to the brink, and then we just collapse and collapse again. Unless anything changes, that gets you out in the second round in March. I mean, round of 32, you're going to face a team that's going to get hot from the three. They're going to score. They're going to force you to have to score. And if you're unwilling to drive into the paint and get fouls, put teams in foul trouble, be in the bonus, that team's just going to outscore you at that point. Like it's bound to happen. So that's where I get worried. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think too, there's just a lot of possessions in this game. So that's where you get that really, I mean, a little bit of still not good, don't get me wrong, but it's skewed a little bit. I mean, you shot, what's that? You made one more basket one less basket from the field than they did. That was a 3-pointer.
And Chaz and Gainey, like, have both showed that, like,
sorry, you tied with baskets from the field. They just made one more 3-pointer.
Both those guys, 2 dribbles in from the elbow. I'd like to see, like, if you've seen that they can make that shot, they're comfortable with it. Kentucky's pretty big, but like, start taking some looks from there. And I know they did, a couple times, but like,
well, Kentucky, they knew that coming in. They took that away, and it was just like, we'll stand here at the elbow, and like you can shoot all the threes you want to.
Yeah.
I mean,
when Tennessee wasn't making them, they had no counterpunch.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to adjust. I mean, but it also took Kentucky shooting 50% from the three and from the field. But yeah, I mean, you made the same amount of shots in the field. They had 4 more free throws than you too. I mean, and that's just shooting over 50% from free throw range for them. So I mean, you didn't play good, but you also had a chance, and you got to find a way to make tough shots in the tough moments, and Tennessee couldn't do that.
Yeah, and it would be, I think this game is a lot different if you didn't struggle against Auburn, Florida, but like you're 19% in those 3 losses from 3. Like, I mean, you're not going to win any games against good opponents doing that.
Especially Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to really.
Is this team tired, do you think? Is the depth coming into play here? I don't. I mean,
it's certainly possible, but I mean, the only issue with that is find a way not to be tired. I mean, that's it. You don't have reinforcements coming to the rescue. Your team is what your team is at this point, and you've got to figure it out. I mean, I think there could be something to that. You have Dubar playing more minutes. I think they want to get Boswell on the floor more. He can't quite cut it right now, so you need him to step up.
He did look better the other night.
He looked better. Cade Phillips has got to look better. His minutes are getting limited because he can't keep up physically, which is disappointing because I thought early in the season this guy can keep up physically. So he's got to figure that out in SEC play. I mean, the depth is certainly something I think you can look at, but it's time to sack up. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, no one else has joined the team.
No.
So, yeah, I do think this team is like they're going to go as far as Zakai and Lanier will take them, and if those two are both playing bad at the same time, I think you can go ahead and chalk that up as an L. Like that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think one thing, like, we miss. I know everybody was like, we miss Dalton Connect, and for sure. But the shooting is one thing, but his ability when shots weren't going down to go to the rim, like that's what we miss the most.
And part of that for him is the takeover factor. We don't have the takeover factor in what we had in him.
Mm-hmm.
We need someone to do that and be that guy that Dalton was. And like you said, when the shots aren't falling, say, all right, well, I'm gonna go to the hole. I'm going to get if I get an ISO situation, I'm taking this guy on. I'm going to make him beat me. Have that confidence to go. But yeah.
I do want to like kind of end. We can wrap this up and kind of end on a positive, I guess. I know we might talk about Florida for a second, but Igor having the game that he had, if he can be that consistent, I hope you don't see Zakai and Chaz go 4 for 21 from 3 again. But if he can be that consistent, I feel like Tennessee, like, it shows me kind of promise that, like, this team can turn it around.
Yeah, and I like what Devin said in terms of got to get him more touches. I think especially in games like that where you need a big presence to be willing to go to the hole. I think that's it. I don't know if it's every game you need to get him more touches, but in a game like that, I think you do. Yes.
Yeah.
What's up, Christopher? It's good to see you back in here. I know it's been a minute. Hope everything hope life is treating you well. We've missed you in here, so certainly good to have you back, man. Sorry to come in on a down moment there, but we'll see if we can get more fired up here for you.
Is Florida a must win?
I said it Sunday. I felt like both of these in the moment you're in, they feel like must wins. This one's at home. I don't know how to grade basketball must wins because you have so much room for error.
Yeah.
So like that's tough, but I feel like for the psyche of this team, it really feels like it's a must win. Like you got to go get one against a tough opponent. You lost now. You've lost one of those two that you get at home. I mean, you have so much season left ahead of you, so it's hard to call it a must win for your season. But for the psyche of this team, man, I think they've got to go try to get one here.
Yeah. I mean, Florida's a really good basketball team. They got a really good big. They got some scores. Elijah, I think, Wilson, and then Walter Clayton. They have Alex Condon, who's their big man, who had a pretty big game against us. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge. Will Richard is the guy I was talking about. I think he had 16 against us. So, yeah, I mean, this is a team who beat the brakes off you in the swamp. So this is a revenge game and also just kind of a get-right game. I think build some confidence. Hopefully Igor is able to carry. You know, we talk about him being consistent. I mean, please be consistent in what you did against Kentucky, and hopefully everybody can kind of follow suit. I don't think you have that bad of a shooting performance ever again. Especially like if you are shooting that well, hopefully we're not shooting 45 threes. But yeah, I do think this is a must win. Like Tennessee needs a game like this, kind of build that. I know there's plenty of games from here, but you know, you don't have a lot of those like top 5 matchups other than Alabama left on the schedule. So besides, I guess, Kentucky at Kentucky, right, which isn't easy either.
Yeah. You go get one of these challenges. Just one. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, I think at this point you take it. You're 17-4. It's not like this season's over. We're not going to make the tournament, but you kind of want to put yourself in a good position come March. You got to win games like this.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
And we played so bad against Vanderbilt, they're ranked now. That's terrible. All right. That's all I got for basketball. Let's shift it. Any more questions?
What else you got? No, I didn't see any more. I think we're good there.
I know you kind of mentioned it earlier, but our interview with Tony Vitale, a lot of people have said they enjoyed it and liked it. So appreciate everybody who got to listen to that. And if you haven't already, I hope you have the time to do so. I think it is really good. And, you know, it's just not the same questions and stuff that he gets asked with the media. Like it is, you'll learn something is what I'm trying to say. So
at least we hope so. And if you didn't, come back next time. Maybe you will next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. Maybe we'll have another couple guests on here soon, and maybe you'll learn something from them. Who knows? 15 days away.
It's getting there. It's coming.
Yep. All right. Little stupidity.
Stupidity. Let me dig in here.
I got one. So this guy, I guess it looked like a middle school basketball game, fast break. This man is just like going straight through the court with a bench and trips a kid over it. Have you seen this?
Okay. No, I haven't.
I mean, like, here's like just a picture of the video, but I'm like, he just starts walking it on the court like during the middle of the game. And so they get a steal and run it back. Well, the kid's like waiting for the pass and just like, I mean, tumbles over this bench that this guy's pushing through. Like,
and he's just, and no one knows, like, it's just like, yeah, he was just an idiot. He was unobservant to what was taking place. That's it.
I guess. I think he was just like,
holy cow.
Maybe he saw the fast break coming. He was like, I'm already out here mid-court.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What team was he? Did he do good by slowing it down?
I don't know. I don't know the backstory on this guy. I just saw the video.
Okay. Well, good for him, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That is not a stupidity, but I do want to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about it before I lose my train of thought. Nashville looking to bring a WNBA team to their city. Did you see the name they're trying to give them? So I guess it would be the Nashville Summit, I guess.
Tennessee Summit.
Tennessee Summit? Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Kind of shocked that they threw that out there. I was like, I'm kind of shocked no one else tried to do that. Yeah. I like it. We'll see if it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't pay attention to the NBA. I'll be the first one to say that, but it might make me keep up with the team if they're in Tennessee. We just don't have anybody really close enough to really care. Right. So I'll go ahead and be on record. I will be a casual fan of that team if I'll inherit them.
There you go. I like it. Get them the gear.
Yep.
But real quick, Chris, I'm sorry, it's hard to see your profile picture from here. Number one, I knew you had kids. Didn't know they were triplets. That good luck, brother. My brother has twins, and I've seen that. I've seen the chaos that ensues, but he does love it. So that's really cool. You have triplets. Number two, you're on Jeopardy. Give me a season and episode. I'm gonna have to go watch that. I did not know you were on. That is insane. I didn't take you for someone being dumb, but I mean, smart enough to be on Jeopardy, and you listen to this show. That'll make a guy feel good. I'm gonna have to go check that out. That's awesome. Let me know what season and episode.
Guy from Milan, right?
Milan. I think he's from Milan. We could be just totally getting Chris's origin story wrong, but I know he at least has ties to Milan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a guy from Milan. Just.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to go watch that episode.
Around on Jeopardy.
I used to have them because my grandmother loved watching Jeopardy. I used to have them all recorded on YouTube TV, so I'll have to see if that's still the case. I watch from time to time, but not enough that I keep them recorded. Like I'm intentionally keep them recorded. So if I do have that episode recorded, I'll be going to watch it. That's awesome. All right, back to our regular scheduled programming here.
Yeah. I got one more, and that's all I got.
All right, go for it. Shoot.
I got Archie Miller, the Rhode Island basketball coach. Do you see this?
Unfortunately, I did.
He said, wow, the best conference in the history of college basketball is 54-54 since January 4th. Yikes.
Did you see how that, or like where he found that at? Someone like tweeted it it is a real stat because
Jacob
played SEC
Jacob
games.
Pickle. Yeah, I did see that.
But he tweeted it as if it was a stat that people should go off of. And I guess he just saw it and didn't see the follow-up action to that.
Tough scene.
Yeah.
And for those of y'all who don't get what we're talking about, the
good
SEC
point.
has a 50% win rate, so they would have to be 54 and 54.
They've only played SEC teams since January 4th.
Yeah.
That's the kicker. Yeah. Tough look.
Yeah. Sure he regrets that.
Thought I had one to dig through a lot of screenshots this week, trying to keep up with one of our big guests that were on this week. No, I dropped the Dan Hurley one. That one's my favorite thing ever. I'm sure you guys saw the tweet today. I got tagged in it because I read a tweet that was stupid live on air last Thursday. Just don't make tragedy about yourself.
Oh, somebody tweeted about you?
No, not about me. Guess the tweet, Landon.
Oh, I know what the tweet was.
Terrifying scenes out of DC. So many people live in that area. My wife lived across the street from that airport for a year. We'd sit there drinking coffee, watching planes from the balcony. Densely populated area. Could have been worse. Still awful and terrifying, though. I got someone tagged. Someone tagged me in the reply. Someone mentioned that to me today after I was tagged in that tweet.
It's gotta be.
I mean, to be fair, Landon, today made me reflect because I've flown before, and you just keep your loved ones close. Keep them close. Other than that, don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I had a buddy from Montana, and he actually visited DC one time, and so just hope it wasn't him. I mean, good Lord.
It's tough, man.
Tough. Just so many people call you out about tweets and stuff. Maybe just have somebody read over it before you just fire it out there.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah. All right. That's all I got.
Crazy.
Let's go beat Florida.
Oh, please do it. Please. I need it. I need it like I need air to breathe.
Before we get out of here, guys, go check out roback.com. Use promo code More Important Issues for 20% off your first purchase. Again, that's RHOBACK, roback.com. They got the best gear. It looks like it's going to be good enough for golf this weekend. Maybe. So maybe go get those polos, those quarter zips, whatever you want. They got it. Go use promo code More Important Issues for 20% off your first purchase.
Do it.
Guys, thank y'all. We'll be back on Sunday celebrating that win, hopefully in better spirits about basketball. And we're bringing the boat in, and we out.